Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Captain Fizz and That Mask Guy. Tonight we're going to be talking about KeyCon as well as FanQuest coming up this weekend. It's a jam-packed show, lots to talk about, very little time to do it in. So sit back, enjoy our music, and we will be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guy show. As always, I am Captain Fizz.
And literally greeting you from the seventh moon of thunder, I am that mask guy.
And of course, once again, we are doing things a little differently. We are doing things by phone because, unfortunately, I have caught
You're in quarantine right now.
I have caught the flu bug this time, and
you've got what is being referred to as the con flu.
So many people joke and talk about that, and I'm starting to realize it is a legit thing. I literally spent all day yesterday, as well as today, feeling like death was a really, really good option. So much happened on Saturday with KeyCon, and a lot more than I originally expected, so it definitely drained me, and it was a good drain. I'll put it that way. It was by far one of the most extraordinary experiences I've ever had to deal with. And if someone asked me if I would do that again, it would be yes in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I really, because of how sick I have been for the last month, I did very little preparation for KeyCon, so I mean, we walked in blind. We had absolutely no idea what we were getting into. I promised my wife I was only going to be there for a couple of hours, and immediately regretted it. I was expecting something more along the lines of the traditional, comic book convention, and what they had there instead was more along the lines of, say, they had a bunch of like little seminars, and I mean, for the brief period of time I was there, I took in a couple myself. One was for The Princess Bride, which I thought was pretty well done, and then I took in another one with you as well.
Yeah, that was actually Tom with Tom Allison, which was basically him talking about growing up as an actor in Broadway and all that stuff, especially growing up in Winnipeg. We were really, really confused when we first walked in. We were unsure what we were walking into, what to expect. We started off our day having breakfast, which became this very entertaining moment where, as we're sitting there eating breakfast, talking to this wonderful, wonderful lady that was sitting there with us, and really having a full con experience. We're sitting there watching Tom Allison and Tamsin McDonald walk in, grab their food, sit down at the table beside us, and I tried to not let out a whimper.
You were fanboying there for a moment. I actually thought you were going to jump up and go ask for their autograph.
There was that initial thought in my head was, oh, okay, this is my moment. Like, I can go up and say something. But I'm like, okay, if I was in their shoes and I'm eating breakfast, the last thing I want is for someone to come up and bug me. So, and that is proper convention etiquette. If someone is eating, or as we mentioned with Sean on our previous episode talking about the Wild Prairie Furs, if someone is out of costume, be polite and courteous about you don't approach them. especially at a convention. It's, that number one rule. It is, I think, listed on almost every single convention's code of conduct, if I'm not mistaken.
I would venture to guess that it is.
So from there, we kind of started walking around. We actually we wandered into the game room hosted by JimCon, which was literally exactly how it sounds. It was a room filled with gaming and board games. You walk in, they had tables full of these board games, and they basically said if you saw a game you were interested in, even if you don't know how to play it, grab the game, bring it to a table, and someone will actually show you how to play. That was a unique experience in itself. Like, unfortunately, we didn't take them up on that offer just because it's obvious we had a very busy schedule for that day. I really wish we had, because that would have been a neat idea.
Well, there was a Dungeons and Dragons game there. I don't recall the name of the game, but it takes place in the underground kingdom of the Drow. Reminded me a lot of the EverQuest books that R.A. Salvatore went off and wrote. I kept looking at this like, Driss the Warden, and just, getting kind of psyched up. And I'm right with you. I mean, if we'd had time, I would have sat down, I would have tried to play the game, but as is, we were trying to get ourselves orientated and trying to figure out what we needed to do. We were trying to meet up with our liaison, Amanda, to kind of figure out, the best route to go at.
Who I have to point out was by far the best host that we've ever had to deal with. She literally was by my side the entire day, whisking me around. I felt like Cinderella at a ball by the end of the night. It was an absolute phenomenal experience. She was nothing but helpful and friendly and very informative. This whole experience at KeyCon and everything that we went through literally felt like this magical kingdom. You see the hotel on the outside, but when you walk in, it's like a whole different universe, whole different world. It was... I'm ashamed to say that I have never heard of this convention before recently, because 34 years that they've been doing this, and they've perfected, in my eyes, everything that a convention should stand for. It's informative, it's educational, it's entertaining. You got things you can buy, you got the guests you can actually mingle with. It's everything you would absolutely want in a convention and more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I spent years, trying to go off and write up a draft for a book, and it would have been great to have had this sort of community to go off and to bounce off ideas with, and to be able to, come up, and to talk with every year. I can't believe that I never heard of this, considering that I was kind of on the fringe, if you will, of the writing community here in Manitoba. I was actually once a member of the Manitoba Writers Guild, and I never heard of KeyCon once. And I remember last year, I think it was about this time, we went to Swords and Sabers, and I just happened to bump into someone there. It might have been Amanda, maybe someone else. And, said, hey, I've never heard of KeyCon.
Yeah, it was Amanda that we ran into at Swords and Sabers, which was the start of a very business-like friendship, and it's been a wicked run.
Absolutely, and in her own words, it was one of Manitoba's best-kept secrets. And it really is, and, if I should ever go off and to get back into the writing, I definitely would want to go off and to bring my my stuff there to kind of get reviewed and get some advice. But I'm definitely going back next year. Depending on how my work schedule will be next year, I'll try to spend as much time there as possible.
I've actually already committed. I've already committed to the whole weekend, And now that I know there is a bunch of other stuff happening behind the scenes afterwards, I definitely plan to see if attending that stuff as well, and get a nap in between as well. There was a good 3 hours.
Wild experience. I mean, and again, I wasn't there for very long. If you guys want to, you can actually go to our Facebook page. Just look up Captain Fizz and the Mask Guy there. And Captain Fizz actually has got a great video there for Tammin. He was in pretty much the entire, his entire presentation that he went off and did, talking about his career. And I mean, I was awestruck about how all the decisions he went off and led him to eventually we're talking about a guy that went off and performed at Stanford, which is a huge deal here in Canada. He's been on Broadway, and he's done television, and to find himself now doing Killjoys, which is a popular sci-fi series. And I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal, the route that he's taken to becoming a television star.
Yeah, absolutely. I also I did videotape the closing ceremonies as well, where they actually announced next year's theme for KeyCon 35, which will be magic and technology, which is a beautiful play off of each other, because I had this conversation with somebody afterwards, one of the actual fan guests from next year's KeyCon. He's actually a magician, but as we were talking, we were discussing what is better, technology or magic. But I've come to realize we need both to be able to function in today's world. If you look at technology, yes, you see technology like the phones and that, but in the same sort of sense, it's magic of how it works. So I can't wait to see next year's convention kind of come forward, and I definitely want to be there the entire weekend. I'm also working on fixing up the video for the first panel I actually sat in on, which I wasn't sure what to originally expect with, but it was absolutely phenomenal and definitely an eye-opener. And that was Women in Speculative Fiction, which was hosted by Kelly and Tamsin, Lindsay Kitson and Van Kunder, and definitely an eye-opener of how women are portrayed in not just movies, TV shows, but as well as in books and that, and how the authors themselves don't actually get to choose what their covers look like.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate. It seems to happen a lot. If you guys, anyone out there is familiar with Terry Pratchett, or even Harry Potter, a lot of if you check out the covers of those books, the English covers and the American covers are actually very different. And I know a lot of people here in North America tend to complain about the American covers of popular British books because, for whatever reason, when they come over here, the companies that go off and publish the books here go off and change the covers for whatever reason. I guess to put their own little thumbprint on it, if you will. It just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. Well,
and like the one thing they touched on during this that definitely I can kind of see, especially in TVs now, is the whole sexuality sells, and so often that when they're actually making a cover, they don't give the artists all of the book. They give them like maybe 10 paragraphs or a very small part just so they can design it. So that kind of shows what could possibly be wrong with not the writing aspect of the books, but maybe the art design and things like that. So it was definitely a very informative panel that I sat in on. I enjoyed every moment of it. Unfortunately, there was not very many guys in that panel, which, as I said, is very unfortunate. You could have learned so much from that. It was definitely an eye-opener. And then you were sitting in on the Princess Bride one while I sat in on that one. You got any insight on that one?
Well, it really was a very small panel. with the